We're slowly moving towards a future where we own nothing, and most people don't even realize it. Things you once bought outright have turned into subscriptions. Items you could fix or repair are becoming items you just replace, and things you could sell or trade have become physically unsellable. All to keep a constant cash flow coming in for big companies and providing little benefit for end consumers. Have you ever digitally purchased a game on Steam, PlayStation or Xbox Store, or even a movie on iTunes? While you bought it legally, it's forever linked to your account. You cannot lend it to a friend, trade it, or even sell it if you didn't like it or no longer want it. This keeps you tied to a specific platform. If you spent thousands of dollars on digital Xbox games, you aren't suddenly going to switch to a PlayStation knowing you'll be throwing all the money spent on games down the drain. Digital versions also help eliminate the used market. If someone can't obtain a used copy, they'll have to pay for a new one, boosting sales. This is undoubtedly the reason recent consoles have started coming without disk drives, a trend we first saw with computers. But sometimes even having a physical copy doesn't protect you from this. I once purchased a used copy of The Sims 4 on disc. As it turns out, it had an online activation key. Once it had been installed, no one else could install the game again. Despite owning a legal copy of the disc, I couldn't use it. But that's only an issue when you can buy it in the first place. Many things have transitioned to subscriptions, meaning you don't just pay once and own it, but you must keep paying for it. Why pay $1,300 outright for Adobe software when they can charge you $80 a month for the rest of your life? Of course, you can cancel your subscription, but after spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, you're left with nothing. But it goes further than that. Software is also used to prevent you from owning physical hardware, even reaching the automotive industry. BMW is one of the many car brands using software to lock out parts on its vehicles, now charging a subscription fee to use the heated seats if not initially purchased with the car, meaning the hardware is installed into every car, but not active unless you pay for the ongoing fee. The software is locking you out of hardware that's already installed. Tesla used software to limit the charge of one customer's car battery, as he was getting more range than they wanted him to. At some point, the battery had been replaced, but with one of larger capacity. As it turns out, the standard and long-range models actually had the same battery. One was just software capped. After taking it in for service, they limited the charge of the battery. In the electronic space, Apple uses software to prevent third-party repairers from fixing their devices, causing artificial errors, removing features, and displaying warning messages. John Deere has also been caught doing a similar anti-third-party repair practice with farm equipment, like tractors, all in an effort to control what's yours, regardless if it's a $1,000 phone or a $100,000 tractor. The way things are now means we can own the hardware but not the software that makes it work. Without proper regulation, it's being used against us, to prevent us from doing what we like with our gear or forcing us to upgrade or replace. And in most cases, you can't remove that proprietary software and replace it with something else, as there is software also preventing you from doing just that. With everything so heavily integrated with software, without it, our devices would be a brick. That's not to say all software and subscriptions are bad. For services that require a back-end server, a subscription-based model makes sense and provides a sustainable business model. So I'm not against all subscription services. The only subscriptions I have, excluding utility bills, is for my email and web hosting, both of which require remote servers and constant upkeep by the companies running them. After all, you couldn't pay for a lifetime of internet in one bill, otherwise your internet service provider would go broke or the connection cost would be too expensive. Video streaming services do provide a much cheaper way to consume movies and TV shows without having brought them outright, a sort of digital version of a rental store. It's a similar thing with music streaming. However, given the lower cost of music and places like iTunes or Zed Digital providing a place to purchase DRM-free music, a music subscription may not be as cost effective, especially as you need to keep paying to listen to all of your music, locking you into the monthly fee. The subscription model has been widely accepted, as most are only a few dollars a month. But these costs soon add up fast, with an average of $55 a month being spent by Australians on entertainment services. Not everything needs to be a subscription that's draining every last cent from consumers, but it seems to be the most profitable approach for companies. I've stopped purchasing things digitally wherever possible for the last few years. But for things I've bought before that time, I now know what it's like to have spent money on things I now don't want and can't get rid of. I'm forced to keep my Steam account as I cannot pass on my purchased games to someone else. Granted, I only have a small library of games, but I have no interest in gaming and want to sell or at least give the games to someone else. Something I can't do. And it's a similar story with my Apple ID. I purchased a few movies that I can't use outside Apple software as of the DRM copy protection, as well as purchased apps, one of which costs over $500. Deleting my account would cause me to lose these digital purchases, and with Final Cut Pro being only a digital purchase, I couldn't buy a physical version even if I wanted to. With physical copies, you can legally sell or give the item to someone else. This is referred to as the doctrine of first sale. Upon purchase, the property is transferred to the buyer, but not the copyright, meaning the buyer cannot reproduce the copyrighted work, but is entitled to resell it. This doesn't seem to apply to digital versions. It's scary to realize just how much the electronics and digital items we purchase are still heavily controlled by the companies who sold them, begging the question, will we even own anything in the future? And on that note, this has been a Hugh Jeffries video. If you like what you saw, consider subscribing and check out the playlist on tech that's not what it seems for videos just like this one. And if you're looking for any used devices, be sure to check out my online store, link for which is down in the description. That's all for this video, and I'll catch you guys next time.